Hi guys, welcome back to another beautiful tutorial with eco designs to fit. If you are coming here for the very first time, you are welcome. If you have been a returning viewer, you are also welcome. Today's tutorial, I want to share with you how to cut shoulder princess dart bustier blouse. It is very simple, and if this is what you are interested in learning, stay tuned until the end of this tutorial. On top my brown paper here, I've marked out the starting line and I've labeled it the shoulder line. Now from this shoulder line, I'm going to mark out my bust points, which is 10 inches, my under bust point, which is 14 inches, and then my waistline, which is 17 inches. And you guys, please, you're going to be needing your front length and your back length, because our front and back length is usually not the same. For some people, theirs is 3 inches difference, but for this particular tutorial, mine is 2 inches difference. Okay, now from the shoulder, you're going to mark out your shoulder divided by 2. So here my shoulder is 7.5 inches. I'm going to go down by 1 inch because our shoulder spine is not straight. And then from this shoulder slope, you're going to take your tape down to 8 inches, which is going to be our chest line. Now this chest line, you can get it by dividing your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now from the shoulder slope, go ahead and connect your line through to the chest line, and this is going to be the armhole depth. I'm going to go ahead and label all my lines. So I have the chest line, bust points, under bust points, and then the waistline. Now we are going to divide our armhole depth by 2. So my armhole depth is 8 inches. Divided by 2, I'm going to have 4 inches. I'm going to mark and then go in by half an inch. On the chest line, I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect my front armhole. Now once you are done with this, go back to your shoulder line and we are going to mark out our neck width and our neck depth. For my front neck width, I made use of 3.5 inches, and then for the depth I made use of 4 inches. Okay, but this is not standard. Whatever it is that you want to make use of, go ahead and input that and connect it into the shoulder slope. Okay, now on the bust point, go ahead and divide your bust circumference by 4, mark it out. So mine is 9.75, and on the under bust line, you're going to divide your under bust circumference by 4, mark it out. Do that for your waist as well. Divide your waist circumference by 4 and mark. Okay, so now that we are done with this, next we are going to divide our nipple to nipple measurement by 2. So mine is 8 inches. I'll divide by 2 and add half an inch for allowance. Okay, so I'm going to, from the center of my paper, mark in 4.5 inches on the bust point down to the waistline, and go ahead and connect all these lines together. Okay, now on the bust point line, come down by 3/4 of an inch and also go up by 3/4 of an inch. Okay, this is only to eliminate any kind of sharp curve around the bust region. Okay, and on the waistline, you're going to come out by 2 inches, and also on the under bust, you're going to come out by 2 inches and then connect. Now right on the center front, you're going to, on the waistline, go in by half an inch, and then on the under bust line, also go in by half an inch and then connect these lines. Okay, now you are going to connect these lines into the 3/4 of an inch below the bust point. Okay, as you can see me doing like this. And once you are done, you are going to go back to the shoulder slope, and you're going to divide your shoulder line into two. You can see my shoulder right there is 4, so the middle is going to be 2 inches, and I'll connect this into the bust point, and this is what we have been looking for, which is the shoulder princess dart. Okay, now we are going to make sure that that part of our shoulder is not going to be gaping by tightening it, and we are going to use 1.5 inches to do this. Okay, so on the side front I'm going to use 1 inch, and then on the center front I made use of half an inch, and this gave me 1.5 inches. Okay, and I'm going to connect it into the 3/4 of an inch above the bust point. Okay, now because we have removed 1.5 inches from this our shoulder, we are going to replace it back to ensure that we don't run short of fabric when cutting on our fabric. Okay, so you can see that I've extended my line by 1.5 inches. I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the chest line. Okay, and then in the middle of my shoulder princess dart, I'm going to check what I have right there, as you can see me doing, and right on the middle of my armhole I'm going to take in 1 inch, which is what I got right there, and I'm going to connect my new armhole. So you guys, this is what we have right here. You can see how we modified our shoulder princess darts. So now I'm going to start inputting my allowances. I made use of 2 inches. So on the under bust line I'm going to replace my dart, and on the waist I'm also going to replace my dart, which is 2.5 inches, and also add up 2 inches for my sewing allowance, and I'm going to connect my lines together. Now that I'm done connecting my lines, remember, like I said, the front and the back length is not the same. So my front length is longer by 2 inches, so I'm going to, from the bust point, mark down 2 inches. Okay, and this is going to be the difference between my front and the back length, and I'm going to connect it to my bust region. Okay, so you guys, I went ahead to extend this line, but that is not what I actually want to do. So what I'm supposed to do is to divide the line in between the bust dart by 2. You know I have 2 inches right there, so I'm going to divide it into 2 and I'll have 1 inch. I'm going to mark the middle and then connect it just like the way you can see me doing. Okay, this is only not to run short of fabric by the time we close up our bust darts. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mark out my shoulder seam allowance, because you need your half an inch seam allowance to join your shoulders together. And now once you are done, you're going to extend your shoulder dart. Okay, so you guys, I hope you can understand what I'm actually doing right here. Now I'm going to cut this right now. Okay, now for us to close up our bust darts, we are going to open up the waist darts, and that is exactly what you can see me doing right now. So after I open up the waist darts, I'm going to cut the bust dart, but I'm not going to cut through. I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch and then close it up. So you can see after I close it up, I'm going to use my tape and then hold it in place, and then I will continue cutting out my pattern. So guys, we are done cutting out our front pattern, and this is what we have. I'm going to bring in my fresh pattern paper and we work on the back block. Okay, so this is my paper and I've marked out the shoulder line. Now from this shoulder line, I'm going to take down to 10 inches, which is the bust point, and then 15 inches, which is my back length. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and connect all my lines. You guys, at this point my marker wasn't really showing, so I'm going to change this marker. Okay, so now I'm done marking out my lines and I'm going to go ahead and label it. But before that, I'm going to mark out 2 inches for my zipper allowance. Now this is not standard, you can make use of 1 inch, 1.5 inches, depending on what you want to use as your zipper allowance. So you can see I'm labeling this my zipper allowance. So once I am done with this, I'm going to start all my measurements after the zipper allowance. So right on the shoulder line, I measured out my shoulder divided by 2, 7.5, and then went down by 1 inch, and then from the shoulder slope I went down to 8 inches, which is my chest line, and then went ahead to connect all my lines. So you guys, this is literally what we have done on the front pattern, so you don't need to get yourself confused. The only thing that is not right here is the under bust line. Okay, so I've measured my armhole depth into 2 and then mark out. Also measured my bust circumference divided by 4 and then input that on the chest line. So now I'm going to go ahead and measure out my neckline. So for the width I made use of 3.5 inches, and for my back depth I'm making use of 1.5 inches. We all know that the front depth and the back depth is usually not the same. Okay, it can be deeper anyway. For the back it can be shorter. All right, so on the bust point line I'm going to place in my bust circumference divided by 4 again, and on the waistline I'm going to place in my waist circumference divided by 4, and I'm going to connect all these lines together. Now from the center front I'm going to mark in 4.5 inches, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. I mark it on the bust point down to the waist. Now on the waistline I'm going to take in my dart and I'm going to make use of 2 inches, but I'm going to share it equally on both sides. So on the center back I input 1 inch, and on the side back I equally input 1 inch, and then went ahead to connect that into the bust point. Now going up to the shoulder slope, I divided it by 2 and then connected into the bust points. And now once you are done with this, go ahead and input your seam allowances. So on the chest line I went ahead to input 2 inches, and on the waistline I replaced my dart intake of 2 inches and then input 2 inches for my seam allowance. And you guys, don't also forget to add up your shoulder seam allowance for the back. So that is what you can see me doing right now. And once I am done with this, I'm going to connect all my lines and go ahead and cut my pattern. So guys, once you are done cutting out the back pattern, what you are going to do next is to go over to your zipper allowance and you're going to go in by 1 inch. Okay, So this is for you to eliminate any form of bulging around the zipper area. All right, and you're going to have to connect it into the neckline, and you go ahead and cut it out. So you guys, we are done with this tutorial. This is our back pattern. I'm going to bring in the front so that you see everything that we've got here. Okay, please guys, if this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to join this beautiful family, and also turn on your post notifications to get notifications once I upload a new video. I will see you in my next one. Bye.